Now, Donna Brazil, welcome to the Five.
Yes.
I know.
I've been waiting. I don't know why you didn't know my number.
I'm sorry, I must have lost it. So, I know you've been wanting to talk about this IG report because you've been watching that for hours, but we're going to actually talk about the immigration situation. Now,
That's a good...
Secretary Nielsen said there are laws on the books that have encouraged this. There's a 2008 child trafficking law that's being abused. There's the Flores deal, which was a Clinton administration policy. You can't detain minors for more than 20 days. And then you have the asylum laws being abused. I mean, don't past administrations bear some responsibility for this?
Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that you have these two laws on the books, the 1997 law and the 2008 law. The difference is that this is a change in policy, a change in enforcement of the law. Everyone who comes over our border now is treated as a criminal, and they're subject to prosecution.
Correct.
And so while the 97 law said that you have 20 days to deal with these unaccompanied minors, this is a policy change that says we're going to separate these children from the parents who are going to face criminal prosecution.
Right.
So I think the Trump administration needs to work with Congress. Perhaps they'll do it with this immigration debate that they will have tomorrow, which, by the way, is a one-sided debate. I don't know how you're going to put together a solution when you don't have all of the what I call main ingredients. But for now, there's no federal law that says that you must separate children from their families. That's the loophole.
Well, one of the loopholes
issue.
is because you don't want the children to be potentially abused, and you don't know, Kimberly, whether or not the children are actually related to the adult that's bringing them across the border, because the Secretary said there's been over a 300% increase of fraudulent families.
314%.
Exactly, crossing the southern border.
Yeah, I think that's really an alarming number when you hear that and you think about that's really just fraught with problems in terms of risk to children and being endangered. Very much a concern in terms of human trafficking. Obviously, everybody cares about it, and obviously people don't want families separated from their children, but you do have an obligation to determine the true identity of the individuals coming over. Just because an adult is accompanying with a minor, you can't make the assumption that they are in fact related, because quite the contrary, the evidence suggests otherwise. So that would be irresponsible and reckless in a matter of public safety and endangerment to a child. So, this is a very difficult issue. I think the legislature does need to act on it expeditiously. It's in everyone's best interest to do so and work cooperatively with the president, because obviously now the good news is that the issue is getting a lot of, attention and focus and light on it so that we can do something about it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a country of immigrants, but nevertheless, we've got to ensure the safety of people here, those crossing, et cetera, and observe the laws on the books.
And how do you think the White House, Dana, is handling this? I wouldn't call it a crisis, but it's reaching a boiling point across the country.
Definitely. Well, I think it was very smart to have the principal there today at the briefing. It took her a while to get back, and I understand they had a meeting at 3 o'clock with the president. And it's tense within the White House because they realize they have a problem. One thing I was surprised about is that Kirstjen Nielsen, she had excellent facts that they didn't recognize just even a week ago as we started seeing this bubbling up, that they needed to get in front of it. So now you have all of these photographs, some released from DHS, some from HHS, some from reporters that have been there, some from members of Congress who have been there. And the photographs drive a lot of things. Do you remember when the little boy was killed on the crossing, the migrant boy, and he washed up on the... Yes, and he washed up on the coast of Turkey. Then all of a sudden, we're like, we can't have this. And so it's not that it wasn't happening to a lot of children. It's just that photographs make a big difference. Kirstjen Nielsen was asked, what about these photographs? And she said, I haven't seen them. I think that her staff owes it to her to make sure that she sees them so that she's aware of what everybody out there is seeing and why there's all of this reaction. Maybe some of it, a lot of it based on misreporting. But you can also believe your own eyes.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's fair necessarily to say that children are being held in cages. But if you look at the photograph, there are chain link partitions. So they're being covered with silver Mylar blankets. And then you hear this ProPublica audio secretly recorded, maybe inappropriate, but the audio is going to pull at heartstrings tonight. And so, yes, I think that tomorrow when the president goes to the Congress, he's going to say, I am going to support these immigration bills. I want you to pass them. I hope that it's successful. I'm skeptical in a way, partly because I heard today that one of the people in leadership thinks it has a 10% chance of passing the House, and that a bill very similar, recently held in the Senate, only got 40 votes. So I think they're going to have to either reverse this policy or figure out another way to deal with it while they try to do something with Congress, because now you have a situation where Congress might not be able to pass anything.
Yeah, Greg, what do you think? Do you think the president's going to hang tough on this issue like he does in the face of a lot of outrage, or do you think he's going to come to the table and try to do something with the Democrats?
I think he likes solving problems, and I think he would solve this problem if he can. I don't think the other side wants to solve this problem because it's one hell of an issue. This is an amazing hammer that you can just pound the White House with. You take this off the table, and I've said this for months. If you take this off the table,
there's nothing left.
There's nothing left for the Democrats. I am so tired, though, of people implying that our agents are child abusers. This is something that we just let fly by. Oh, they're not being. People are doing their best. Imagine somebody coming to your house and dropping off kids. You try to do your best. That's what America is doing. They are dealing with an influx, thousands of kids. They're not sure what they're doing. They're doing their best. You have General Michael Hayden that is comparing us to the Holocaust,
right,
to concentration camps, an insult to victims, to survivors, to people who are taking care of these kids. I mean, that is idiotic. He is a fool.
But the stress,
yes,
the harm, the abuse that comes when you're not capable of holding your child.
I understand.
You are pulling away parents from their children.
Yeah.
A man committed suicide because he did not want to let go of his child. This is a crisis.
It's an emotional feeling. I get it.
When it comes to, and I'm not an emotional person. Seriously. But here's what I do know.
Yes.
Is that the Democrats, since you mentioned the Democrats, I wasn't going to mention because this should not be a partisan issue. These are children.
They're both sides are bad.
Regardless of what mistakes their parents are making or their caretaker, these are children, and we should have a special place in our heart for the children.
Well, let me ask you, though.
The Democrats do have a bill in the Senate.
Donna, let me ask you.
49 co-sponsors. That's all the Democrats
What is the Democratic solution? If you have, say, a 40-year-old migrant from God knows where, Central America, and he shows up and gets caught crossing the southern border with a 12-year-old girl, no documentation that they're related. What is the Border Patrol supposed to do according to a Democratic solution?
The solution clearly is that we have to vet the people who are coming here, whether they're seeking asylum.
How do you do that?
Well, that is what border agents are paid to do.
Right.
That is what the whole system.
But this is a part of the vetting process.
This is
you
a
make
part.
sure that they're related.
This is a change in policy, a change in prosecuting.
Okay, so you want to go back to catch and release?
No, I'm saying that it's a misdemeanor versus putting them through all of this other legal rigmarole.
Okay, the legal rigmarole is to say you've broken the law and cross the border, you're going back home, not show up in a month to a judge and then 90% never show up.
We all agree that our borders, our immigration system is broken. I'm not here to say that the immigration system is not. It's broken. All I'm saying is that we have a crisis right now. Dana is absolutely right. We should have seen this coming.
Yeah.
The Department of Homeland Security should have seen it coming. Jeff Sessions should have seen it coming. And clearly Donald Trump should have seen it coming.
Well, I know, Kimberly, the one thing that does solve the problem is the wall. Because when there is a wall, they can't cross illegally, and then the families get to stay together.
There we go back to the wall.
The wall unites people.
He's doing the, sort of the
know.
barrier defense. But listen, every country has a right to be able to protect its borders, right, and make sure that law and order is being observed. And I think that's what we also have to factor in as another interest here, in addition to making sure that children are cared for.
Can I just say the other thing is we should, well, I know you have to go, that we have to figure out a way to go after the cartels and not each other.
Correct.